Morning, everyone. So, can you hear me? Okay, cool. So, good morning. I'm really pleased to be here today. I think when Globe invited me to speak in front of SMEs, I said, without batting an eyelash, I'm going to go. Because what I'm going to talk about is something I'm really passionate about, something that's really personal to me, and in fact, one of the reasons why I joined Google Philippines. Because I saw the opportunity of unlocking the opportunity of SMEs if we could help digitize them. Okay? So Laurent a while ago talked about the digital consumer, especially here in the Philippines. And what I'm going to focus today is knowing what we know now about the digital consumer in the Philippines, what can businesses do to take advantage of this? So it's all about helping businesses win moments that matter. Okay. Next slide. What's the big deal about SMEs? And I think Barbie has talked about it earlier. If you look at all the businesses in the Philippines, more than 99% are what we call micro, small, and medium enterprises. But what is especially important about MSMEs is you could consider yourself as the biggest employer in the country. In fact, close to 70% of the population in the Philippines are employed by you guys, by businesses like yours. And the biggest irony is, if you look at the number of businesses and the contribution to GDP, I think Philippines is one of the biggest gap. Despite the fact that MSMEs contribute to almost 99% of businesses, the economic output from MSMEs is only coming to about 30%. So if you think about our GDP growth, we're growing at about 6-7%. We're one of the fastest growing in Asia, if not globally. But if you look at also our unemployment figures, I'm not sure if you're aware about it, we're also one of the highest unemployment rates in the region. So if you are the biggest employer in the country, if you really want to have a thriving economy, which is more inclusive, I think it's really important for MSMEs to succeed, to thrive. And my belief, or our belief in Google is, next slide, is the internet and technology could be a great enabler for MSMEs to have a bigger contribution to our economy. You know, it used to be, it's all about scale matters. But in the internet age, it's not about how big you are or the size, it's really more about creativity, it's about ambition. And I think the internet could really level the playing field and help small businesses like yours compete with big businesses. It doesn't really matter, it will enable you to compete not just here locally, but also globally. And I think it will remove all the, perhaps, the barriers in the past of how big you would want your business to be. Okay, so if you think about the internet as a major factor for you to help compete with big businesses, I'm sure you're going to be more excited because the Philippines right now is what I'm calling entering a major phase or major shift towards digital. So what are the things which are driving them? The first one is, I'm sure you've been hearing about the last 4 or 5 years, our economy has been on an upswing. So you talked about our 12 billion OFWs contributing to about $23 billion in remittances. Now, this is almost close to 10% of our GDP. You've also been hearing about the big BPO sector, which is increasing year by year. You know, they're almost bringing in $18 billion in revenues. So these kind of things are good for the Philippines. It will only increase our domestic consumption, and with a very low inflation rate of about 2 to 3%. What this means is, you know, it's really good for businesses in terms of conditions for you to grow when the economy is also growing, because incomes are also increasing. So as disposable incomes increase, there's more money that you could pay for a smartphone or for internet connection. So all the more this is an important factor of driving the digital era. The second factor is, I think, really driven by telcos. You know, in the past, if you need to pay $2,500 for a plan. But I think the telcos right now, especially for Globe, are really being very aggressive on driving, giving more access to every Filipino on the internet. They've got a playbook from FMCG, which is called sachet marketing. You know, it's so easy right now to get 1
peso plan, or I'm not sure if you've even visited a PisoNet. Have you heard about a PisoNet? Okay, so if you visited a PisoNet, just put 1 peso, you have 5 minutes of internet, and you see these in almost every corner, especially in what you call low-income areas. So there's a lot of factors of increasing access, not just from telcos, but also from private individuals, on how we can make the internet more accessible to every Filipino. You know, the third factor is the increasingly lowering or cost of smartphones. You know, in 2009, you always complain about a lot of things going up. Properties are going up, commodities are going up. But if there's one thing which is going down, it's smartphones. The average price of a smartphone has gone down almost 30% as compared to 5 years ago. So you have all the, I'm sure there's a lot of excitement about iPhone 6 or S6, but the real action is happening on the segment, which is $100 and below. These is the things that is really empowering or unlocking the opportunity on digital, particularly on mobile. Just 2 months back, Google, through its Android One program, partnered with the biggest phone manufacturers, which are Cherry Phone and MyPhone in the Philippines, to launch Android One. And I think the mission for Android One is all about enabling every Filipino to experience the magic of the web. So how do you get a great smartphone experience at the price of below $100? So let's show the video for launch ad, which we did 2 months back. So all these factors of increasing income, data plans becoming more accessible, and of course smartphones becoming cheaper, is all contributing together to almost bring why we have 50 million Filipinos online today. You know, 5 years ago, take a guess of how many million people were online.
23 million people, which is almost doubling every 5 years. And this is a massive, I think, a massive milestone for the Philippines, because digital is not the future, it's today. Half the population is already online. So if you're a business and you're not yet online, you're only serving half the consumers or half the Philippines. And I think what is even more exciting is this trend will only accelerate. I think Nielsen has made a forecast that by 2018, we expect 8 out of 10 Filipinos to be online. That's 80 million Filipinos online. Now that would make us almost the 5th biggest internet audience in Asia. In fact, we're already the 2nd biggest in Southeast Asia. And if you also think about not just the current people online, but the people who's going to go online, you're talking about 10 million Filipinos going online. That's almost 1 million Filipinos going online every single month. Just to give you some perspective, 10 million Filipinos is twice the size of Singapore, going online every single year. So I think it just puts more urgency for businesses. I think that's the reason why we partner with also the Globe and with Aspar on how we could help Filipino SMEs really take advantage of this trend. The other thing which I think Laurent has also talked about, you know, the Filipino netizen will be different from perhaps how we all came to know the internet. You know, in the past we were using our laptops, our desktop, but the future Filipino netizen will be mobile first. In fact, that will be the only window to the internet. The smartphone will be the only window to the internet. So think about, if you're looking for your business or engaging your business, is your business going to be mobile ready? And really think about mobile first. Not only do we have more and more Filipinos going online, I think the other thing that we need to factor in is how much time is spent online. It's amazing how much engaged you are on this device. In fact, we're going to talk about the first thing that you do is check your email or check your Facebook or check your SMS. I think it's also a testament that in the Philippines, we have one of the highest amount of time spent online. It's almost like close to 4 hours a day. So if you think about share of time, maybe the question that I should be asking you is, if you have now half of Filipinos online and almost 1/3 of your time or waiting time are online, how much of your marketing budget is online? I think that's the key question that we should be asking, because if you think about fish where the fish are you really aligning your investment to where the consumers
are spending your time, and also about where the future would be. So if you look at how the internet is changing the media landscape, it's also changing many aspects of our lives. From the way we connect, I was at OFW and even a son of an OFW in the past. This is definitely changing the way we connect. At least it helps Filipino families really keep that connection despite the distance. And even the way we communicate is not about SMS, we even employ stickers or other forms of expression when we connect with people. It's also changing the way we consume media. I think Laurent has talked about this. It used to be only one screen. It's a family activity to watch television, and everyone will be glued to only one show. But we're all moving to a multi-screen. I'm sure for those who are here, if you have children 12 years and below, or if you have nephews and nieces 12 years and below, just ask yourself, do you observe how much of their time is spent or glued on the tablet or the iPad? And I think it shows you that they watch video, but they would use it or consume it in a different form. The other thing that is changing is the way we travel. Who here has used Google Maps or Waze? Okay, cool. You know, the mission of Waze is to save 5 minutes of your driving time every time. So here in the Philippines, I'm sure they're over-delivering on the target. Waze is owned by Google as well. This is a platform that we're empowering every consumer to really save on time. And I think that's an amazing app that we're using. Of course, Google Maps to help you really navigate and find places. And even when we first travel, we look at platforms like TripAdvisor to find reviews about the hotels or the places that we're going to visit. The other thing which is changing in the way we embrace the internet of our lives is the way where we shop. You know, e-commerce in the Philippines is just starting but growing really fast. And I think this is very powerful for SMEs to see how we could tap e-commerce as a platform to sell your produce or your service. Because this is already happening in China, this is already happening in many parts of Southeast Asia, and I'm sure it's about to happen also in the Philippines. But it's not just about where we shop. I think more importantly, what is changing is how we shop. You know, in the past, it used to be marketing was, the way it works is, you have a stimulus, like an ad. And then what it does is it leads you to go to the shelf. And then from the shelf, you will probably look at the different products. And that's what people, or marketers would call the first moment of truth. Why is it called first moment of truth? It's because that critical moment is very important if you really if this brand will win in getting that purchase or trial as compared to another brand. So it's just really making sure that the people at the time, or marketers at the time, is really looking at how could I win the first moment of truth. Of course, the second moment of truth is using the product or using the service. So the traditional way of thinking about the marketing paradigm or path to purchases, I just need to think about winning the first and second moment of truth. But in the digital era, there's a new stage in terms of path to purchase. We call it zero moment of truth. And I'm sure I'm going to ask you if this also happens to you. You know, when you need something, or when you discover or you hear about something from a friend, or perhaps you see it in an ad, what tends to happen is actually people will research about it. They will ask their friends, they will probably go to the net, go online, but definitely what's happening is they look for more information about it before actually making the purchase or visiting the store. So if you talk about zero moment of truth, these are when you're traveling abroad for the first time, you're going to research reviews, or perhaps when you're buying an item, you want to check first where's the best place to buy this, or you're going to a new restaurant, you want to check first the reviews or what is the menu. So this zero moment of truth is already happening amongst us. And I think to explain further what zero moment of truth is all about, I have a short video that we can do.
What we're seeing is 67% of Filipinos made a research online about a product or service that they last purchased. So this is really massive, and I think it will only grow further as Filipinos see the important value of researching as they want to be smarter in terms of making those purchase decisions. Now, I'm going to tell a personal story from my end about my own Z-moment story, or zero moment of truth story. 7 months back, I moved my family from Singapore back to Manila. And you can imagine, I've been out of the country for 6 years. And it's almost like going to, even though I'm from the Philippines, it's almost like going to a new country. So you could imagine how many things I need to research, from flights, to hotels, to service apartments, to cars, to loans, to credit cards. And the starting point of all of those researches are really at Google search. And at the time, of course, I was seeing that there were some businesses who have really taken advantage of this. But similar to the experience of Bella, I think there are a lot of businesses which you will only discover if you go to the second, third, or fourth page, or in fact, they're not there at all, and you could only be able to know them if you ask another person physically.